So today, I had initially thought of having the topic, how to eat slower. And this is a very personal topic because I am a very fast eater. And I know that I have to really work to eat slower. And as I was doing research all month about that topic, I learned a tremendous amount of things, but I kind of stumbled upon this other thing that I thought was more important. And it's a part of it, so I am going to speak about eating slower, but this is kind of a bigger topic. And the topic really is metabolism, how our metabolism works. So I changed the title of the topic slightly because of that. And now it's called not only what to eat, which is something I talk about a lot, that we should eat organic food, that we need to eat a lot of fruits and vegetables, the what part of it, but how to eat. And this is really interesting because I hadn't really heard people talk about this very much. And the more I did research, the more I found that it was so important to know this information. So it's a lot of information, so it's actually going to be 2 lectures this month and then next month. So this time it's part 1 and we'll talk about certain aspects of it, but it'll continue next month and we'll continue talking about metabolism. So through a deeper understanding of our relationship to food, we want to gain a better understanding of our metabolism and how that works and how that knowledge can help us be healthier. One of the things that I used for my research is this wonderful book. It's called The Slow Down Diet by Mark David. I just borrowed it from our public library, so I know they have it at the Miami-Dade Public Library if you'd like to borrow it. I highly recommend it. It's actually not about dieting at all. The title is misleading, but he actually goes into it and he says, I don't believe in diets, I don't believe in calorie counting, I want to teach you how to eat slower. And so this is why I read this book. But he talks about metabolism as well, a lot of really interesting things. So if you want to further learn about what we're discussing, this would be my recommendation. So what do I mean when I say how we eat? What we eat, we've talked about a lot, but how we eat, what does that mean? Well, it means a lot of different things. It means, do you eat standing or do you sit down to eat? Something as simple as that. Like, how do you physically eat? Are you sitting? Are you standing? Are you in your car driving?
Yes.
Do you eat while driving or watching television? Are you focused on your food, or are you focused on your computer monitor, or are you distracted talking on the phone, or are you on hold calling the IRS and shoveling food into your mouth?
That's right.
How long is your meal? Do you take 10 minutes because you have to hurry off to something else? Or maybe that's all the time that your workplace gives you, 15 minutes. Or is it 30 minutes, or do you take an hour? In Italy and France, they take 5 or 6 hours. So, do you eat alone or accompanied? Not only in the social aspect, but they say that this affects also our nutrition absorption, whether we eat alone or accompanied. Is eating pleasurable, or is it mostly just a necessary task to keep you going for energy? Do you prepare the food you're eating, or do you always just buy something made? Even if it's not fast food, even if you maybe go to Publix and get a nice healthy soup, and a salad, but you didn't prepare that, and that actually affects how your body takes this in. Is eating accompanied with calorie counting, anxiety, negative thoughts? Are you sitting down to eat and thinking, I had a big lunch and now I'm having a big dinner, but I'm very hungry and I'm tired. I want to eat a big dinner. So are you eating and accompanying that with anxiety, with negativity, with calorie counting, with worrying, possibly? Do you have a set eating schedule? Maybe every day you get up and you have breakfast with your children before you take them to school. So for breakfast, you have a set schedule at 7 a.m. And for lunch, maybe you have a set schedule because your work, gives you from 12 to 1, so you have that hour to eat. But dinner maybe is a little crazy. If your kids have soccer practice, sometimes you'll try to eat before that, or maybe other days there's other activities, so you end up eating sometimes at 5, sometimes at 8. Sometimes you don't have time to eat dinner, so you skip it altogether. So is there a schedule in how you eat? Do your meal sizes vary throughout the day? Or do you more or less try to eat the same for breakfast, lunch, and dinner? Or do you like to have smaller breakfast, bigger lunch, smaller dinner, or small breakfast, small lunch, big dinner? Do your meals vary in size? Do you eat both meals and snacks? So maybe you have breakfast at 7, a snack at 10, lunch at 1, snack at 3, dinner at 6. So all of these things are things that we should think about how we eat. How often do you overeat? That's also a question. So I can guarantee to you that I overeat on Thanksgiving and Christmas. Actually, this past November and December was the first time I didn't overeat on Thanksgiving or Christmas, and I felt very, very proud of myself. And my body thanked me for it as well. But I know that on holidays, it's something that I struggle with. So how often do you overeat? Is that something that happens once a week, once a month? Is there a set schedule to overeating? Something about overeating, I never allow myself to go to an all-you-can-eat place.
Yeah.
Because I know that I can't control myself. I serve myself a plate and then I think, oh, that was really good, I'm going to get seconds on that. And then I didn't see that they had a dessert bar, so of course I have to try that. I walk out feeling that I've overeaten, and that's not healthy for us. Are you observant about the relationship between your eating and how you feel? So do you eat and then feel sluggish and heavy? Do you realize that? Or, when you eat dairy products, do you feel how it affects you in certain ways or not? Do you know your allergies? Are you really observant about how the food is affecting your body? So these are all topics that deal with the question of how we eat, not necessarily what we're eating, but how we're eating, which we don't talk about as much, but as I did research, it's just as important. Just as important. I'm going to give you a tip that we're actually going to discuss in next month's lecture, but just so you know, when you are stressed, your body turns off digestion. And so you can spend $25 getting an all-organic meal and sit in your car driving onto something else and shove it in your mouth and think you're doing your body a favor. But if you are stressed, your body has turned off digestion, chances are all of that wonderful nutrition is not being absorbed by your body. So what you eat is important, but how you eat it is equally important as well. And that's what we're going to discuss today. So I said our topic is really metabolism, and so I wanted to first define metabolism so that we all know exactly what we're talking about. Metabolism is the collection of all the chemical processes going on in our body. So for example, converting food into energy is metabolism. The production of hormones in our body is metabolism. All of the chemical processes, even the firing of neurons and neuron connectors in our brain, all of that is metabolism. Taking in oxygen and converting it so that the body can use it and breathing out carbon dioxide, all of that is metabolism. So it's a very, very complex subject, but it's important to understand that food and the process of digestion, absorption, and the use of food is an integral part of this bigger subject, metabolism. So food enters our body as we eat, it's absorbed, it's used by the body, and then ultimately it's discarded. And that food becomes our body. You know, the famous saying, you are what you eat. Well, that's true, because what we take in as our food becomes part of that metabolism. Eventually, you know, those carrots and that milk that we drink becomes our bones, our cells, our skin. So this is an integral part of this process, metabolism. Food cannot be taken lightly. It's really, really a part of who we are. So now I'm going to talk about a myth there is about metabolism. We've heard about people who have a fast metabolism. You sit next to them at your family dinner and they're skinny and they have triple serving of desserts. And the myth is no matter what they eat, they don't gain weight. And why? Because they have this magical fast metabolism. That is so unfair, isn't it?
Yeah.
So this is a myth that's out there, and we're going to talk about that and understand it better. So I want you guys to discuss for a moment. Now we have a question every time. The question to discuss this time is, do we have any control over our metabolism, and specifically thinking about the speed of our metabolism? So if you have a slow metabolism, do you have any control over that? Could you make your body into having a faster metabolism? Or are we all just doomed? If you got a fast one, you're lucky. If you have a slow one, you're doomed. Skip the dessert, it's your problem. So this is the question, and it's directly tied to that myth about people having fast metabolisms. Can we all have a fast metabolism if we so chose? So go ahead and discuss it for a minute or two, and then we'll go back to what this is. I'm just going to quickly share what my table
Share.
Well, that's out
shared.
there, they had you.
Actually, I didn't share. I just listened to them. But they were spot on. They said we actually have a lot of control over our metabolism, and their example was really good. They said when we exercise, we can feel that our body has more energy, that things are flowing faster, and then when we stop exercising, that kind of continues for a while. So there's some kind of like habit that our body has, or some expectation that continues for a while. So really, really good. So we have tremendous control over our metabolism. Our habits, day in and day out, whether you exercise or not, the food you choose to eat, whether you sleep well or not, all of these things dictate to our bodies what kind of metabolism it should have. So when we are young, unless we have a condition, because there are some genetic disorders that dictate your metabolism to a certain extent. But not specifically considering that, but just a normal healthy person. When you're a child, all children initially have a fast metabolism. And you can see kids can just run forever. They have endless energy, it seems like. Well, that's really, the youthful metabolism. That's a fast metabolism in action. And as we age, our metabolism does naturally slow down a little bit. So if we had two people who eat the same, who have the same energy level, who exercise the same, and one is 30 and one is 40, the person who is 40 is actually going to have a little bit slower metabolism than the person who's 30. So there is this like natural curve that we all have to kind of be a part of and play with, but we're not doomed. We can affect our metabolism within that age range. So likewise, nowadays there are children who have very slow metabolisms because they've affected it so dramatically by eating poorly, by not exercising, that they're overweight, they have low metabolisms. So even children who one would think should all have fast metabolisms, we're starting to affect that to that extreme as well. So that is why how we eat is tremendously important. because how we eat, not only what we eat, but how we eat affects our metabolism. So here are factors that affect our metabolism. And today we're going to talk about these first three: oxygen, water, and food. In the next class, we're going to talk about sleep, mood, exercise, and environmental factors. And then we're not going to really discuss, because they're not so food related, but hormones, age, and medications can also affect our metabolism, as well as these genetic preconditions that some people have. So as I spoke about age, our metabolism slows down with age. It's not something that is food related at all. It's not something that we can control. There are medications that specifically slow down the metabolism. It's not food related. And then there are hormones also that, you know, through a monthly cycle will affect our metabolism, or, you know, if you're in the sun or not, all of these things. There are hormones that do affect our metabolism that aren't necessarily food related. So we're going to talk about these things that we can control and that are food related. Today, oxygen, water, and food. So what's the most important nutrient our body needs? Water? Okay, good guess. That's what I thought most people would say. That's what I initially thought. Oxygen. So how long can we live without water? How long could you live without water?
40 days.
Probably 5 days.
5 days, yeah.
Depends how much, you know, how young you are, but 5 days. How long can you live without food? Maybe 60 days, 40 days. Also depends on your body type and your condition. But oxygen, how long can you live without oxygen? None. And we don't think of it as a nutrient necessarily because it's not on our plate and we don't eat it. But it is a nutrient. Oxygen is the single most fundamental nutrient in our metabolism. So oxygen is involved in nutrient absorption, for example. If there are little tiny bubbles of oxygen in our small intestine, nutrient absorption happens much, much better. So if you don't breathe as well when you're eating, then you are decreasing the absorption of nutrients into your body. So oxygen is involved in all kinds of processes. The conversion of food to energy involves oxygen. Cell division involves oxygen. Creation of new tissue, disposal of waste materials from our body, reproduction. All of these things require oxygen as part of that metabolism, the chemistry that is going inside our bodies. So oxygen is tremendously important. It's the #1 nutrient. And casinos know this very, very well. Casinos make tons of money because they are very intelligent. And they do their homework. And they know that the #1 thing that people need is oxygen. And so they spend a lot of money putting tremendous air conditioning systems that pump not air from the outside in, and not cool air, but pure oxygen. They are pumping 100% pure oxygen into the casinos. And you know why? Because that makes you feel alert and full of energy. So you can go on gambling the whole night without having to eat or drink or anything, because you're so full of oxygen that your body feels good. Very smart. So let's also be smart and use this to our advantage and realize that our bodies need as much oxygen as they can get. So, before you eat, take a moment to breathe. So, you know, some people have the habit of praying or sitting with their family and just, you know, thanking whoever made the meal. Take that moment, or whatever you do before you eat, and just take 3 or 4 really deep breaths. #1, breathing deep helps the body relax. And we know that stress turns off digestion. So by relaxing the body, you're helping the body turn on digestion if it's been off. You're increasing the oxygen in your body, which is going to help with nutrient absorption. and you're giving the body what it most needs, the number one nutrient, oxygen. So you're gonna be drinking water, you're gonna be eating salad and rice and whatever. Well, take a moment to take in that most important nutrient, oxygen, before your meal. So breathing is the most effective way to decrease stress, and we talked about how stress turns off the digestive system altogether. And we're going to talk in depth about that next month. And then nutrient absorption is increased by greater amounts of oxygen in the walls of the stomach, the small and the large intestine. So, number 2, water. So after oxygen, water is the most important nutrient we need. Drink more water. And I say water specifically because we live in a society that has taught us to drink sugar drinks. So Gatorade is not water. Sodas is not water. Even healthy, fresh pressed orange juice is not water. Drink water. I'm not saying that you can't have a glass of freshly squeezed orange juice on a Saturday morning when you're having a nice, luxurious brunch with your family. But what your body needs is water. So get into the habit of drinking water. It's going to make a huge difference in your health. Water is the second most important nutrient for our metabolism. Do you eat snacks between meals? 60% of the time we feel hungry, our body is actually telling us that we're thirsty. But we aren't taught to listen to that and to know that, to understand it. Many times when you feel hungry, your body is actually asking you for water. So every time I feel hungry between meals, I first drink a glass of water, I wait 15 minutes. If my body's still hungry, then it was asking me for food. If that goes away, then I know that it was really asking me for water. So use water also as something to gauge your snacking. If you feel hungry, you want to reach for that granola bar, that's okay. Drink a glass of water, wait a couple minutes. If you still feel hungry, then have the granola bar. But chances are, maybe that hunger will go away. Your body was really asking for water. So I didn't mention this in the 2 previous sections, oxygen and water, but the number one way we can increase our metabolism, now that we know that we do have control over it, the number one way we can do it is by breathing more. So just by giving your body more oxygen will increase its metabolism. The number 2 way is by drinking more water. So because those are the 2 main nutrients your body's going to need. So if they're abundant, then your body thinks, well, I've got what I need to do things. So, and then things like exercise and sleep also affect, but oxygen and water are essential. So now let's take a look at the 3rd component, and that is food. As far as food is concerned, what is the single most important factor in increasing your metabolism? And this has been studied and proven. So what is the answer? The answer is elevate the quality of your food. So you can increase your metabolism by increasing the quality of your food. So it doesn't matter if you choose to eat broccoli or spinach or ice cream. It's the quality of the food that matters, because there is good quality broccoli and there is bad quality broccoli. There's good quality spinach and there's bad quality spinach. There's good quality ice cream and there's bad quality ice cream. Now we're going to take a look at this so that we understand what is good quality food and what is bad quality food. But the number one thing you can do to increase your metabolism as far as food is concerned is to elevate the quality of your food. So let's take a moment and define what we mean by quality, and what defines good quality food and what defines bad quality food. Good quality food is natural, and that just means unprocessed. So a tomato that just grew in the garden, it hasn't been sprayed with pesticides, it hasn't been put in a warehouse with some gases to turn it red because it was picked green, just natural. So the more natural something is, the higher its quality. And this hasn't been specifically proven as far as GMOs, but I think that might also be a possibility, that things that are just natural could be better quality than GMOs. We don't know that for sure. But, you know, that's something that I'm kind of theorizing on. But in general, things that are natural are of higher quality than things that aren't natural. Things that are fresh are of higher quality than things that are not fresh. So, you know, let's take an apple, for example. If you pluck an apple off a tree, wash it, and eat it, you're going to get more nutrition, and it's going to increase your metabolism more than if you get an apple that was plucked in China and put on a boat or on an airplane and shipped here and held in refrigeration for 2 weeks and then put on the shelf of your supermarket and then given to you. It still might look beautiful, it still might be delicious. It's not as fresh as that apple you picked from your tree. That apple you picked from your tree is going to have more nutrition, and it's going to increase your metabolism more than that other apple. So these are very subtle things that we don't necessarily experience, you know, in a tangible way, but that go on in our body under the hood that are really, really important. Same thing with local. If food is local, it increases your metabolism more than food that is not local. And it's of higher quality. And then organic, in its true sense, organic doesn't just mean a sticker that says organic. You know, those labels are there to help us identify things that are organic. But organic just means grown in a healthy way. So without extra pesticides, without chemical, any kind of chemical things to help it grow faster, you know, where they rotate crops so that the soil is also healthy. That's what organic means. And how do we identify low quality foods? Things that are processed. So wheat, for example, when it's been processed and turned into white flour, that has been processed. We've decreased the quality of that food. If we, if we take milk and we turn it into cheese, that's been processed, so we've decreased the quality of that food. The milk had more nutrition than the cheese will have. So the less things are processed, the higher the quality. The more they're processed, the lower the quality. When things are mass produced, so if you have a chicken, if you have a little farm, and you have a chicken and it's just one chicken and it's running around in a field and it's allowed to eat grass and flowers and worms and insects and bugs, that chicken is going to be healthier and of higher quality than if you were growing it with 1,000 other chickens. Why? Because now all of a sudden those 1,000 chickens need to share all of that nutrition, the bugs, the worms, the flowers, the grass, so that when things are mass produced, we're lowering the quality of our food. If something has to be packaged, that is a clue to us that it's of lower quality. Things that are healthy, natural, they don't need packaging. So if you go to Publix and you see 4 tomatoes in a package, it tells you this has been shipped from far away. That's why it had to be packaged. If you get just a delicious, healthy tomato, it doesn't need to be packaged for it to be sold. Also, if it comes in a box with a long list of ingredients, that packaging should tell you this is a lower quality food than something that isn't unpackaged. And then ultimately, the long list of ingredients. All things that we eat can be made with 4 or 5 ingredients. Bread, in essence, is wheat, water, yeast, and that's it. 3 ingredients. But if you go to your supermarket and buy a loaf of bread, it has 30 ingredients. So those other ingredients are to stabilize it, to make it always look the same and taste the same, to be able to sit on the shelf for 2 weeks and not get moldy. All of those things are not food. So what we've done is we've decreased the quality of our food. So, and this is a really interesting thing that we need to understand as a society more and more. The poorer the quality of your food, the higher the quantity we will consume. So if we are always consuming low quality food, we're going to be hungry all the time. Why? Because our body senses that we lack nutrition, and so it's always going to be asking for more food. So the poorer the quality of your food, the more the quantity you're going to have to consume. Obesity, because we now, by definition, the government has established it, we now have an obesity epidemic in the United States. Obesity is not an epidemic of lack of willpower. When we go around, we like to point the finger and say, this is your fault. And they will point at people and say, your obesity is your fault because you lack willpower. You have a difficulty saying no to that cookie, to the ice cream. I would say contrary. I would say the obesity epidemic is a result of nutrient deficient food. We have created a food industry that is nutrient deficient, that is causing us to overeat as a society. The lower the quality of your food, the more quantity you're going to have to eat. Our bodies are tremendously intelligent. They have so much wisdom inside. So our bodies are sensing that we lack nutrition, and it's giving signals. It's giving the only survival strategy available that it knows. It's saying, eat more food. You haven't gotten the calcium you need for your muscles to work. Eat more food and hope that we will get that calcium we need. Eat more food so that we get the phosphorus and the magnesium, all of these things that our bodies need that it's not getting because we are eating poor quality food. So, to increase our metabolism, this is what we need to follow. No matter what food you choose to eat. So right now, the what is not our focus. It's not so important. Of course, ultimately it is important, but I want to focus on the how we eat. And how we need to choose the highest quality of that food that we can find. So I'm not saying don't eat pizza and don't eat burgers and don't eat ice cream. There is a time and place for eating pizza and burgers and ice cream. But when you're going to eat those, try to find the highest quality pizza and the highest quality burger and the highest quality ice cream that you can find, because that is what is going to be healthy for you. That's going to help increase your metabolism instead of decreasing it. So here's an example. I don't eat burgers so often, but every now and then I like to give myself a treat. And so I'm hungry for a burger. Maybe I'm going to go see a baseball game with my friends, and to rally up, I feel a burger would be really nice. Something American. Let's go see sports. That's fine. Eat the burger, but let's follow our rule. I'm going to try to find the highest quality burger that I can find to eat. Now, here's an example. This is a high quality burger. Let's look at the list of ingredients. We have flour, yeast, water, and salt. So this place has made their own bread, and they've made it with flour, yeast, water, and salt. Then we have beef, pepper, mustard seed, and garlic and olive oil. When they make their patty, they've used beef, they've used pepper, mustard seed, garlic, and olive oil. And then they have tomato, onion, and lettuce for garnish, and also pickles. Well, what's in the pickles that this place has made? Cucumber, vinegar, bay leaf, cloves, coriander, and dill. That's it. That makes a high quality burger. And where do I find these high quality burgers? Not a place that mass produces them, but a place that takes the time to make delicious, quality, excellent food. Now, do not expect to spend $3 on that quality burger, because that takes a lot of work and you're working with quality ingredients. A burger like this is going to cost you $15. But that's what we want to do. We want to find the highest quality food of everything we're going to eat, even if it's burgers. Here is a list of ingredients of a Big Mac. I took it from the McDonald's site. I just copied and pasted it. Let's read some of these ingredients. Thiamine mononitrate, folic acid water, high fructose corn syrup, sodium stearoyl lactate, datum, all in capitals. Okay, whatever that is. Calcium peroxide, calcium chloride, xanthan gum, potassium sorbate, spice extractives, extractives of paprika. They don't even give us real paprika. They just take the extraction of paprika.
Wow.
So, polysorbate 80. Never trust an ingredient that has a number attached to it. So among this, there also is, onion and water and cucumbers. Well, of course, that's the basis of a good quality burger. But this burger has 80 ingredients or more. Look at all the junk you're eating. That is why the quality decreases. Our bodies need onion and tomatoes and cucumber and beef and water and salt. That's what we find here and here. But this has a bunch of stuff that we don't need. That shows us that this is a quality burger and this is not a quality burger. So whatever food you choose to eat, whether it's a kale salad or whether it's French fries, choose the highest quality of that food. Now this is a reality we have to just accept. High quality food is more expensive. Yes, it is. If you want a good burger, you have to be willing to spend $15 on it. If you want bad quality food, you can get a burger for $1.99. But even though it's more expensive, it's the cheapest long-term health insurance you can buy. You are investing in yourself. The food you choose to consume is, I would say, one of the single most important investments you can make in your life. It's our health. What good to you is that Ferrari and that big house if you don't have your health? It's a matter of perspective. So yes, we have to accept that quality food is more expensive. Now, we've been taught to think about nutrition as calories and protein and how much saturated fat is in this and sodium. Does this have too much salt or not enough salt? I want to reteach us to think about nutrition. I think this is a correct view of nutrition for optimal health. And that is, we need a lot of oxygen, we need a lot of water, and we need quality food. Quality food is basically the three macronutrients we've always heard about: carbohydrates, fats, and proteins, and the micronutrients, minerals, vitamins, phytochemicals, and the things that we haven't discovered that food has that is good for us. It's that simple. This is what we should be eating. We shouldn't be worrying about calories. If we focus on eating quality food, the calories are going to take care of themselves. If your body is getting the nutrition you need, it's not going to be asking you to overeat. If you're eating cookies that have no nutrition for you, you're going to feel hungry half an hour later. If you're eating bread that has no nutrition for you, you're going to feel hungry a half an hour later. And this is going to lead you to overeat. If you are choosing quality food that is full of nutrition, good healthy soups, organic salads, excellent beef that doesn't have hormones and additives and chemicals, your body is going to feel satisfied. And we're not going to overeat. So this is the nutrition that we should be thinking about, and not worrying about all of this other stuff that they try to teach us. So we can begin to improve our metabolism, and we're going to talk about it more next month, but we can begin to improve our metabolism, one, by breathing deeply before our meals. That's going to help your body take in better nutrition, relax, turn on the digestive process. We can improve our metabolism by drinking more water. And I mean water, not juices, not sodas, not sports drinks, but water. And then by improving the quality of our food. I'm not telling you to stop eating this or that. Eat whatever you want, but give yourself the task of finding the highest quality food that you can make. I'm going to give you an example from our meal today. In Colombia, there's something called arepas, and it's basically a corn patty, and it has cheese and salt. We eat it mostly for breakfast, but you can eat it any time of the day. It's absolutely delicious. How do you find the best arepa possible? When I started my business and I was making arepas and I was researching food and where it comes from and what its quality is, I ran into a tremendous dilemma. And that is that 95% of corn produced in the United States is genetically modified. And because it's genetically modified and we don't know enough about that, I cannot, with a good conscience, serve that to my clients. So for a while, I had to take corn completely off my menu until I could solve this. And so what I do now when I make my arepas is I buy cornmeal made in Peru. Why? Because in Peru, GMOs are completely banned. So I know that the corn that is being used to make this cornmeal is not GMO. That is the extent I have to go to know that my food is high quality. That's the search that we all need to do, not to change what we eat, because I love from time to time to continue to eat arepas, but I want to eat high quality arepas. Another problem I have is milk products in the United States are often very bad because cows are grown with all kinds of hormones, and so there's all kinds of bad things for us in the milk. So when I use milk products, butters and cheeses, I buy European butters and cheeses. It's a lot more expensive. You can get a stick of butter for $1.69 or something, but if you're going to buy the European version, it's $3.50, $4, $5. But it's worth it to me because I am buying high quality food. I know that this butter that I consume is going to give my body nutrition. It's going to increase my metabolism. It's going to help me feel healthy. So that's an example of really making that search to find high quality food. So if you love pizza and you want pizza to continue being a part of, then feel free to go to your pizzeria and ask them and say, I'm interested in high quality food. I'd like to know, how you produce your pizzas. Do you get the dough frozen from somewhere else? Is it mass produced, or do you make your dough locally here in-house? The tomato sauce, do you make it in-house, or is it just out of a can? Because these things will help you understand, okay, well, this is a high quality pizza or not a high quality pizza. And if the restaurant is good, they will be willing to tell you. They'll say, yes, we take a lot of honor in making our pizzas. We're Italian. We make the dough in-house. We make the tomato sauce in-house. The cheese we use is imported from Italy. Then oh, this is a good quality pizza. So next month we're going to take a look at the body's metabolic cycle. That's something very, very interesting that I knew nothing about. And once I've learned it, so much makes sense to me in my daily cycle of when I feel hungry, how I eat, my energy level at different times of the day. It's really, really interesting. So I'm looking forward to sharing that with you. How mood affects food. That's also very interesting. If you're in a good mood or if you're in a bad mood, if you're enjoying the food that you're eating, or if you hate this dish that your mother-in-law made, that affects how our bodies take that in. Nutrient assimilation's on and off switch. So our bodies have an on and off switch to take in food. If it's off and you're eating, that food is going to go right through you. It's going to be of no use to us. So we're going to learn about how this on and off switch is and how you can recognize if it's on or off so that you can control when it's good for you to eat or not. And then switching out this calorie counting idea for a wiser, more effective form of eating. So I look forward to next month and sharing more with you.